Hello everyone, Daniel Master 87 here, and today, darn, I was hoping she wouldn't do that animation because I was on this menu instead of the actual one. Today we're going to talk about a content creator that I look up to a lot, and that is Tru3ta1ent. You already know his name. Maybe you're into the community on here. I'm here to kind of defend him on a lot of stuff, because the overall message towards the guy is that he's just a negative person. Negative attitude, negative play style, just overall negative. And that's not really a fair analysis. Let me preface this by saying that I am negative. I'm a good example of someone who is negative about this game when they're playing. I'm truthful. The negativity helps me be truthful as I'm talking about the state of the game, as it helps him, and it helps Rosie, and it helps Otts talk about the game. But if you want to say that anyone is negative, say that I am. You know, there's so many videos where I've raged against the survivors because of how hard it is, or I've raged against the killer because my teammates have been so awful. And I don't mince words, I say what I think. I mean, at least part of the time, because overall I think I'm someone who does hold back a lot of what I say, but sometimes it just seeps through the cracks. And then with this game specifically, I just let fly a lot of stuff that I probably wouldn't if I wasn't by myself, I guess. But there's been massive projection onto him. Just like crazy character assassination moments, people painting this like entire fake persona onto him, that he's just camping, tunneling loser, not even being constructive, like not even saying that he's try hard or anything. That ship has passed. But more along the lines of, oh my gosh, he gets mad at people being toxic, but he is toxic, and stuff like that. And it's like, oh really? Name one example. Oh, what? Hitting the person on the hook? Oh, but why did he do that? Because they were macroing with a flashlight the whole game? Okay, well there you go. He doesn't do anything to be toxic just on his own. Most people in this community do, because they'll just be playing Survivor and teabag at the exit gates. And it's like, when you call people out on stuff like that, it's like, oh, what do you mean I'm doing it wrong? It's just a video game. Of course you're allowed to teabag. It's just something you do. He never does anything like that, especially when he was on Survivor. Notice he does not play Survivor anymore, so people paint him as a killer main when he'd really not prefer to be that. For years he played both sides equally because he wanted to get good at both sides, so he understood what the heck he was talking about when he played the game and talked about the balance. But these people say, oh, because he's taken a few months hiatus from playing Survivor equally, suddenly he just doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no concept of what the game is really like. It's not a fair analysis of his analysis of the game. You're just making that crap up for real. But yeah, people can't really give a solid example of him being toxic for no reason, or just in general. And they can't really say that his arguments are dumb or they're killer side or whatever with facts or anything like that. They just say that it is and never give him a reason. And he points this out in his streams and stuff. Like, you're saying that my idea for X is bad, but you're not really going into why. Like when he was talking about, why isn't pain resonance just a normal thing that killers get? And then someone shot back in his chat like, oh, so you just want killers to have free regression. And it's like, no, how is it free? You actually have to down and hook someone, which takes forever in this game, just to get, what, 15% regression on a gen? Seriously. And no one seems to understand the way that he speaks. You know, he's from the UK, he speaks a certain way, he speaks plainly, doesn't beat around the bush. He's not sarcastic. He's like, I mean, he is sarcastic sometimes, but he's very blunt. He's very blunt with the things he says, and he'll tell that to you on numerous occasions. And when people who don't come from a culture like that, who like to beat around the bush a lot, and like to kind of skirt around issues rather than taking them head on, and straight up don't talk about certain issues because they're too polarizing and they know they're going to get into an argument, then sure, from that perspective, he may be interpreted as someone who's just rude, condescending, dismissive, but he's really not, and you only have to watch him for a little while to kind of get what he's about. And I feel like most of his haters are just people who pop in like once a month or something, pick out the worst possible moment and say, oh my gosh, what a terrible person this guy is, man. And he has haters to a certain degree to where I believe him when he says there's people who not only stream snipe him, who not only are queuing up at the same time as him. And I mean, maybe in the past that was mostly true, nowadays maybe not so much, but people who would just queue up as a 4-man Survivor Friends at the same time as him, maybe they wouldn't stream snipe, maybe they would, but they would just make it difficult for him. And then some people, when he played Survivor, they would just queue up at the same time, get in his lobby, and then grief his whole game with the stupid not tinker, but technician for Survivor, miss skill checks on purpose so that the gen regresses all the way down to 0 on purpose. But yeah, I got a little off track with that whole shtick. But people really do hate him to like another degree where they're actively like watching hours of his streams, hours of his videos to hone in on like one little thing that he said that could slightly be interpretive of him being a bad person or something like that. Or just like not being open-minded when he is a very open-minded person. He just doesn't give in to freaking the mainstream crap that people say, like Nurse and Blight uncounterable, Legion OP because Mending Simulator, pre-nerf Freddy needed to go down, he was S tier, all that crap. He just refuses to give into it because he sees things how they are. Like Wraith not needing a nerf, Pinhead not needing a nerf. And people give him crap for that when he's totally telling the truth there. And he's pessimistic as he's playing his games and pessimistic about the future of the game. But he's not, I mean, he wasn't always. You know, he'll say that within the past year or two, killers have gotten nerfs like crazy, you know. First it was Hillbilly, then, and this might not be the right order, but you get what I mean. Hillbilly, freaking Nurse, Spirit, Freddy, Deathslinger, Pinhead, Wraith. Freaking crap tons of killers getting nerfed, man, and you can't just dismiss that crap. He's bringing up valid points, and people were trying to dismiss it like, oh, well, they needed those nerfs because they were a S tier killer. Like, you literally hear people saying Deathslinger was an S tier killer, and now after his nerf he's an A tier. It's freaking hilarious to actually see people say this stuff. But he did have a big positive vision before the game in years past where he's like, guys, hooks are more skillful. That's why I go for hooks every game. That's why I never go for the same person off of hook. That's why I don't try and tunnel and slug and camp people out. But, you know, after years and years of playing matches in a nice way like that and losing a lot of matches that he really shouldn't have because he was going against a strong 4-man and he was playing maybe not the meta, and he was playing a lower tier killer and he was playing fair, all this good stuff, people just abused him for freaking playing in that way. They would say like, oh, we beat you, baby killer. And it's like, yeah, but what perks was he running? How was he playing? Did he camp or tunnel at all? They don't take any of that into account. That's what a lot of people do. They just have this vision of this game where it's like the end result freaking is supreme overall. If you got a 4K, then you're either a good killer or you just use some cheap strategy to get those kills. If you escaped as a survivor, you're a good survivor. Not that hatch or anything, just freaking bails people out for free. But yeah, after years of losing games that he shouldn't have, after pushing hooks and no one taking a bait, because they think just kills and escape is what determines skill in this game. After him saying that these nerfs against killer are unjustified and the freaking perks that survivors have been getting over the years, like a nerf DS, BT freaking getting buffed in this recent patch, what the heck, off the record giving 80 seconds of endurance, and the suggestions people have, like DS being able to be used 2 times in the same freaking match, like people still not appreciating the value that you get from freaking no mither. I get it's a bit of a joke perk, but you can combo it with resilience to have increased action speed the whole game. You can combo it with unbreakable to have really quick recovery speed, because now you get a freaking recovery boost for having no mither equipped. So not only can you recover endlessly, but you actually get a boost to picking yourself up. And the perk also gives a bit of iron will, doesn't it? So there's so many benefits to perks like that, and people are just saying, oh, those perks are average, and then the super freaking meta perks like DS, BT, Unbreakable, Sprint Burst, Soul Guard, Circle of Healing, all this crap, they're just like, oh, well that's normal stuff, it's mandatory stuff that Survivor has to bring to stand a chance against these oppressive killer builds, bro. And it's like, yeah, but you call Ghostface and Pig oppressive killers, and I don't really buy that. Something that will put this whole community into perspective for you, Tru3ta1ent. He may seem negative to you, but that might be because if you're involved in any way in the community, it might be because everybody freaking else is just overly positive. Like, anytime the devs did something, then that favorite survivors got junned, or someone would pat them on the back like, oh my gosh, this is such a good change. And when MMR came out, which still isn't being done right if you ask me, but hey, it's a MMR system which the game desperately needed, not the stupid ranking system. Then people said, oh my god, this is like the same people who were being overly positive for people getting OP perks like Circle of Healing and killers getting nerfed and killers getting reworks that are basically just nerfs. They're all super excited for that stuff, but as soon as something happens that affects the survivors or that maybe punishes casual players, I use punish casuals lightly because they're not playing the game optimally anyway, so it's not like a buff to a certain killer is all of a sudden going to raise their win rate like crazy at the lower levels. Those people were gonna die anyway. As soon as those content creators see something that they, or not even them, they just make up their opinions, their survivor main freaking followers deem as, oh no, this is a terrible change for the game, killers are so OP because of this, then they just attack it. So not only are they overly positive about the game, and they're nowhere near as pessimistic as some of them should be, like Otts, the level he freaking plays at. I don't know how he's not a pessimistic person. Just doing all these, look at this cool new build that I started using. Videos like that don't even come close to reflecting the game at high level. Because all those builds work based on the premise that you're going against a bad team of survivors who can't punish you for playing something so weak. Yeah, it's just complete blown away by their positivity or blown away by their negativity is what I'm experiencing from them. And then they have the gall to say that, oh, Tru3ta1ent, he just complains all the time, and he was right to get kicked out of the Fog Whisperers, and he's discriminatory, and his character is just not up there, and we're so perfect, we're not even going to talk about ourselves, right? It's just like one huge joke, and Tru3ta1ent has been the brunt of it, if that's even how that phrase goes. So he's the guy I look up to the most in this community. Rosie and Otts probably close second and third places, because Dowsy and even Otts to an extent, and all these other clowns, I want to say, out here who just never criticize the devs, never criticize a blatantly bad change for the game, because it's bad for killers and it's bad for skilled play. They just don't connect with me. I really connect with him because he's the only person I feel who actually cares about the killer role and actually shows what it's like for killer at top level. And he doesn't gaslight anybody about it. It's completely factual, the stuff that he freaking has opinions on. Whereas people like to gaslight him all the time. All the freaking time. All they do is gaslight him like, you're not that good of a killer. I could have won that team. So on and so forth. It's madness, really. But I think I've gotten my point across. If you can see a connect between my views on the game and his views, and how I suffer crushing losses against Survivor, and he narrowly avoids them because he's just that good at the game, and he employs strategies like tunneling and camping, which no one can blame him for, but they do anyway. You'll see that we're a different breed of Dead by Daylight player. We play to win. We are pessimistic about the game because honestly, this is one of the best. Dead by Daylight has the potential to be one of the best games of all time, and it's just not living up to its potential as we see it, because whiny people in the community want the game to be a certain way, catered to them, and they're very deceptive and selective with what they want to support and for what reason, and anyone who opposes them is really the villain of the story. So yeah, hopefully that sheds a little light on the whole situation. Hopefully I've changed some minds, even if it's just one or two, because people don't really watch my videos. But you see the big picture of the duality of DVD, really, through people's criticism of Tru3ta1ent and people like him. For now, this is Daniel Master 87, signing out.